So in this video I'm going to be analysing this pretty underrated manager from a tactical and a managerial point of view, looking at the systems and style of play he would use with this current United side, before I look at some potential transfers that would suit his United side, and at the end I'll give my overall verdict on whether I think he would be a good Manchester United manager. But before I get into that, let me just tell you that this video was edited by AJ Analysis. He has quite a few videos analysing Manchester United's next manager and players they should potentially sign, so I'll leave some of those videos linked in the description below for you to check out after this video. And as always, for cheap good quality football jerseys, retro jerseys and tracksuits, go over to www.jerseyfever.com, a link will be left in the description, and use code ATLANTISFOOTBALL to get 5% off. So the underrated outside option that I am going to suggest for Manchester United is River Plate's Marcelo Gallardo. Gallardo is currently one of the most successful managers in world football. He started off his management career managing in the Uruguayan Primera Division with Nacional, where he won the league title in 2011-2012. He then replaced Ramon Diaz at River Plate in 2014, going on to win South America's version of the Europa League, the Copa Sudamerica, in 2014 that year, and then going on to win the Copa Libertadores, which is the South American Champions League, in 2015, and then in 2018 as well. Also winning the Recopa Sudamerica, which is the South American version of the Super Cup, in 2015, 2016 and 2019, as well as winning the Copa Argentina in 2016, 2017 and 2019. And for 3 years in a row, 2018, 2019 and 2020, making a strong case for Gallardo to not just be the best South American football manager in the world, but also one of the best managers in the world, period. This has seen him repeatedly linked with the Barcelona job, but could he also be a very good option for Manchester United? But let's first analyse what type of manager Gallardo is, and if you watch my video analysing Antonio Conte at Manchester United, you'll see I do like to categorise managers as either league managers or knockout managers, depending on whether they do better in knockout situations or in a league situation over a longer period of time. Now I would definitely consider Gallardo to be a knockout manager, and this is obviously due to his trophy winning record as a manager, which on paper does remind me a lot of Zinedine Zidane. Both managers came in and started managing super clubs in River Plate and Real Madrid within a couple of years of their management careers starting. We all know about Zidane's success at Real Madrid winning 3 back-to-back Champions Leagues, but Gallardo had similar success. In his first 14 months in charge, he won the Copa Libertadores, Copa Sudamericana and the Recopa Sudamericana as well, which is a South American version of winning the Champions League, Europa League and Super Cup all in 14 months. And before Gallardo was appointed River Plate manager, they hadn't won a continental title in over 20 years. Gallardo is an excellent man manager and motivator, which is very well suited to knockout competitions. He is also one of the most tactically flexible and versatile managers in world football, which is a great thing to have in knockout competitions, as it allows Gallardo to not just change systems from match to match depending on the opposition, but also in game as well. His ability to tailor his system and style to specific opponents is why he's so successful. This is why in every season from 2014 to 2020, Gallardo's River Plate have only failed to reach the semi-finals of the continental competition just once. However, Gallardo's success in the continental competitions hasn't been repeated domestically, as River Plate haven't won a league title since Gallardo has been there, which further lends weight to my theory that Gallardo is much more of a knockout manager than a league manager. It also has to be said how impressive Gallardo's dynasty at River Plate is, as even the super clubs in South America like Boca Juniors and River Plate have to contend with their key players leaving each summer to move to Europe, with Ezequiel Palacios moving to Bayer Leverkusen a great example of this in regards to Gallardo and River Plate. So sustaining this success in South America, in my book, is a lot more impressive than doing it in Europe. And once you factor in Gallardo did this while using young players coming through the River Plate Academy and not solely relying on big name signings, it seems even more impressive. Now as I said, Gallardo is one of the most tactically flexible and versatile managers in world football, so his systems of use do vary, however they all seem to follow the same sort of principles. In possession, Gallardo likes to have players move in between the lines of the opposition system and rely on the width in the system being provided by the fullbacks who are given the license to push forward aggressively. Now his most common system of use is a 4-1-3-2, or what you could call a 4-4-2 diamond, and in 2019 this consisted of Enzo Perez at the base of the diamond, Fernandez and De La Cruz either side, and Palacios at the top of the diamond. Now the 3 players ahead of the deep single pivot, which in this case would be Enzo Perez, are all what you would call creative and attacking central midfielders, who in possession will look to push further forward and receive the ball in between the opposition's midfield and defensive lines and sit in behind the 2 central forwards, who in 2019 were Matias Suarez and Rafael Santos Borré. Now Gallardo's side in possession do look to play short quick passes during the build up phase, Quite reminiscent of Pep Guardiola's Barcelona in terms of that tiki-taka style where they move the ball quickly with one-touch passing, but I do think they look to transition the attack a lot quicker than Pep Guardiola's side, looking to play vertically direct passes into one of the three advanced central midfielders to then carry the ball forward and transition the attack quickly into the opposition's defensive third. After a player makes a pass, they are then looking to make a forward run to then provide a further forward passing option, enabling River Plate to move the attack forward at pace. When without the ball, Gallardo's side do look to counter press, which is moving to press the ball instantly as soon as it's lost in the opposition's defensive third or in the opposition's half. This involves squeezing the players narrow to condense the space in the centre of the field, condensing the play and making it hard for the opposition to play through River Plate's press. Because when in possession, it's only really the fullbacks that are holding their width, River Plate have many players positioned in central areas, which means that if there is a turnover, they are in the exact position they need to then counter press, whereas if Gallardo's possession shape was a lot more stretched out, it would be harder to do this. However, Gallardo can change pressing style if needed. In the Copa Libertadores final of 2019 in the first leg against Boca Juniors, we saw Gallardo's side not only move away from that 4-4-2 diamond shape to a 5-2-3 shape, but we also saw them relinquish their high press, instead preferring to have the front three sit narrow and cut off the passes into Boca Juniors' central midfield and allow Boca Juniors' backline to move the ball out of their defensive third in the wide areas, before when they got to River Plate's half, River Plate would then use a man-to-man trigger press, with the backline and central midfield pushing up tight onto their man, stopping Boca Juniors being able to progress the ball into the River Plate half and forcing them backwards. Now Gallardo's side, when in the defensive third, do a very unconventional thing. Rather than maintaining a wide position in the back line, the fullback on the far side will often push in field, playing almost as an extra central midfielder to further condense the play. The effect of this is that it allows the other players in that midfield line to shift across and create a very compact defensive unit, closing off the space for the opposition between the lines and in central areas. Now this does obviously leave you vulnerable to a quick switch of play if the opposition side decide to have a wide player on the opposite flank, but obviously if this was the case, we would expect Gallardo to make a slight tactical change and maybe instruct the fullback on the far side to retain a position in the defensive line if this was an issue. Unlike managers like Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp, who seem to push their back line high up the pitch to create a vertically compact defensive shape and close off the space between the lines, we see Gallardo's side hold a slightly deeper line than you otherwise would expect from a side who do like to press aggressively. And this is a general trend in South America, so if Gallardo was to come to Europe, we may see him adapt this part of his pressing style. So when we analyse Gallardo from a tactical point of view, we can see how flexible he is, not just in terms of his positional shape when in possession and out of possession, but also in terms of the actual style, whether he's going to press aggressively or allow the side to move out of their defensive third, whilst also being able to change possession shape to suit the players at his disposal. But would Gallardo be able to make the transition to Europe and to a super club like Manchester United? Well, before I analyse his overall attributes and give my verdict, I'm going to look at how he would potentially set up this United side, and then look at a few transfers he may look to make in the summer. So with this current United side, I could see Gallardo sticking with that 4-4-2 diamond shape, and I could see him setting up the midfield with McTominay at the base, Pogba and Van der Beek either side, and Fernandes playing at the top of the diamond, and up front with Ronaldo you could have either Rashford, Greenwood or Sancho pulling out into wider positions or dropping between the lines if needed. In possession, this could look like a 2-4-3-1 shape or a 3-4-2-1. If Gallardo wanted that wider base in that deeper position to circulate the ball, you could just have Wan-Bissaka sit slightly deeper than Shaw. But Gallardo is so flexible with his in-possession system that it's really hard to predict which sort of system he would use, and he probably would tailor it between matches. But a fundamental principle that Gallardo would bring with him to Manchester United is playing in central areas, playing with a narrow system, and probably getting 2 if not 3 players sitting between the lines, and this would really help someone like Donny van der Beek, because unlike in Solskjaer's 4-2-3-1, this Gallardo system with a narrow diamond would allow him to play alongside the likes of Fernandes and Pogba, rather than competing with them for starting positions. Also, I think Fernandes and van der Beek would thrive playing in this sort of system because they could make runs ahead of the forward line, or they could sit between the lines, and both players have excellent movement around the box, so I think under Gallardo we could see both of these two players improve their offensive metrics. When without the ball, I don't think we would see Gallardo's Manchester United side press as aggressively as someone like Leeds or Manchester City or even Liverpool. I think he would tailor his system slightly to the Premier League, as Premier League sides generally are better at playing out of an opposition's press than in South America, so I think Gallardo would opt for still a counter-pressing system where United look to press aggressively in certain situations, but I think we would see them drop off into a more passive shape and creating a horizontally compact defensive shape that will close off the space between the lines, which has been United's main problem, particularly in central midfield this season. Now, in terms of potential summer signings, I do think Gallardo will bring in a few players, but he won't be as demanding as someone like Antonio Conte, which probably would be a bonus for the Manchester United board. And I do expect Gallardo to improve the young players at Manchester United, potentially bringing back players like Ethan Galbraith and James Garner into that central midfield position as alternative options. But I do think he would look to upgrade upon McTominay in that deep double pivot position, opting for a player who's a better incisive passer, able to play those quick vertical passes into the players between the lines and transition the attack quickly, because we do know that Gallardo does like to play a high intensity attacking style, playing short passes, but also looking for those vertical passes to push the attack forward into the opposition half and into the final third. So I could see him bringing in someone like Leandro Paredes from PSG, who I think has just 1 year left on his contract come the summer, so would probably be available for around £30 million, and I think PSG would be willing to sell the player, and he could sit at the base of the diamond and be the regista in the system, playing the sort of role that Pirlo played at Juventus. And I do think he'd also look to bring in a central midfielder who was industrious, good at breaking up play, and suitable for a high pressing system, but also had press resistance and could also drive forward with the ball to aid that quick paced attack. And I think someone like Ryan Gravenberch at Ajax would be a good option for one of those wide central midfield positions, as well as maybe someone like Aurelien Tchouameni, who is more of a ball winner but definitely has that explosive ability to drive forward with the ball at his feet, so he could be a good option as well in those wide central midfield positions. And also Gallardo would probably want to bring in an offensive improvement on Aaron Wan-Bissaka to give him the option of pushing both fullbacks down the flanks as he does at River Plate, and I think players like Giovanni Di Lorenzo or Mazraoui at Ajax would be two good options to perform that role, as well as someone like Max Aarons or Tariq Lamptey as well. And I am going to do a second part to my what I would do if I was Manchester United manager video, where I talk about the players I would sign, and in that video I do talk about the right back I would sign. So if you want to see my first choice option, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell, because that video will come out shortly. Right then, so what is my overall verdict on Marcelo Gallardo as a potential Manchester United manager? Well, I do think he's a very underrated option, because obviously people aren't paying attention to South American football as much as they are to European football, so people don't really know how successful Gallardo has been. But just by looking at his record, you can see he's following a similar sort of managerial pattern to Zinedine Zidane, and I am going to be doing a video about him as Manchester United manager as well, which will be linked in the description if it's already out. But for me, I would definitely have Gallardo as definitely in the top 5 managers that Manchester United should be looking at to replace Solskjaer, along with maybe like Erik ten Hag, Zinedine Zidane, Antonio Conte, Mauricio Pochettino as well, you could argue, because Gallardo has a track record of success. He's tactically flexible, which I've said in many videos that I do like from a manager. He can alternate styles, he's very good at developing young players, and he isn't going to be demanding huge amount of transfers like someone like Antonio Conte is. He's also very good at managing over a longer period of time, which is definitely a fault when it comes to someone like Antonio Conte, and I can see Gallardo being at Manchester United for 5 to 6 years, whereas I could only see Conte maybe there for 2 or 3 years at the most. And the fact that Gallardo has proved that he's so successful in knockout competitions with his record at River Plate in the Copa Libertadores, to me gives him an advantage over most managers, as it means even if Manchester United fall out of a Premier League title race during a season, there's still the hope of winning the FA Cup or even the Champions League or Europa League, which I think has to be the target for a massive club like Manchester United, particularly the Champions League. You saw what Thomas Tuchel did with Chelsea, and that's what really creates super clubs. If United put all their eggs in one basket when it comes to the Premier League, they may never win a trophy for the next decade or so, but if you have a manager who can compete on both fronts, then that can really give you the option of being successful even in seasons where you have a tough spell. So thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of Marcelo Gallardo as Manchester United manager, and give me some other suggestions of managers to make videos about. I have got Erik ten Hag and Zinedine Zidane on my list, but give me some others as well. And remember, as always, to give the video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Go to the description to not only check out some of my other Manchester United videos, but also AJ Analysis's channel as well, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well for more content.